and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. But before we do, I want to give all credit and all acknowledgement to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who's keeping me here today. Without him, I could do nothing that you see right now. And I'm being real, man, because I know what it is to be sick, okay? And I'm going to tell you guys this. Whatever your situation is, never going to be bad for you to receive Jesus in your life. Just ask him. Jesus, be a part of my life. I want to get to know you. That's all you got to do. He's listening. And his life in you, you'll never regret it. Let's get into boxing. Saul Canelo Alvarez. People have made these claims against Alvarez that he's a soft champion. He's not a real champion. He's ducking Gennady Golovkin. He gave up his title. He's afraid to face Gennady Golovkin. That Gennady Golovkin is the deal. Let's look at Saul Canelo Alvarez's level of opposition that he faced. And let's look at all the other guys. And let's see who challenged themselves more. And let's see if Canelo Alvarez is actually afraid of Gennady Golovkin. Let's get into it real quick. So here's Canelo Alvarez. And his first real competition that he faced was Austin Trout. He faced him back in 2013, 2 years after he had won the world title against Matthew Hatton, who was fighting for the vacant title. This was his first true test because his actual promoter, Golden Boy, headed by Oscar De La Hoya, did not want him to take this fight. Austin Trout had just come off of a win against Miguel Cotto, which Canelo Alvarez actually wanted to face, but since Austin Trout beat Miguel Cotto, he decided to face Austin Trout. Here's the thing about it. Austin Trout showed that he was slick, he was skilled, he had outmatched, outgunned Miguel Cotto. Even though it was a competitive fight, Austin Trout definitely won that fight against Miguel Cotto. He was longer than Canelo. He had a good jab, a solid jab. And also on top of that, he was southpaw. So the complications were just high. And Canelo demanded he get that fight with Austin Trout. In that fight, Canelo Alvarez dropped Trout in the 7th round. Not only that, but he also played around with Trout in the final rounds of the fight. And he was beating Trout to the punch, and he had a shorter reach than Trout. So he was beating Trout to the punch. He was landing beautiful shots on Trout. He was showing slickness. He was showing skill. And he was showing defensive slickness and defensive skill in the latter parts of the fight. What was amazing to me is how he outboxed Austin Trout, who was a very slick, very skilled boxer. After doing this, he was able to add to his title the WBA title that Austin Trout had and add that to the WBC title. That was very, very impressive. This was an undefeated Austin Trout at the time. This was his first challenge. He stepped up to the plate. He didn't have to take this challenge. He didn't have to face Austin Trout, but he did so. And he beat him. Now, after doing that, he stepped up to the plate once again, and this time he decided to challenge the pay-per-view king, Floyd Mayweather Jr., not only pay-per-view king, but the man. This was the man at welterweight. And Mayweather moved up to super welterweight at a catch weight of 152 pounds and faced Canelo Alvarez. So twice, Canelo Alvarez stepped up to tougher competition that people thought he shouldn't face, and he faced them. Okay, but against Floyd Mayweather, people thought that Canelo, being bigger and stronger than Floyd, would be able to beat him, but they were wrong, and they were actually amazed that Mayweather was able to hang in there in the pocket with Canelo Alvarez. He wasn't going nowhere, and fight him toe-to-toe. It was pretty impressive. But Canelo took that challenge, and this is Canelo pretty early in his career, about 22 years of age. He then stepped up to the plate after Erislandy Lara was daring him to face him. He was daring Canelo to face him. Fans started calling Canelo to face Erislandy Lara, and Canelo stepped up to the plate once again and said, "Make the fight." And Golden Boy didn't want to have this fight. Canelo still took it, and he was able to beat Erislandy Lara by split decision. Really beautiful body work, which really kind of slowed down Erislandy Lara at certain points. I remember when Erislandy Lara got his face busted open with an uppercut by Canelo. Canelo was really landing some hard body shots, man. Slow down Erislandy Lara. Erislandy picked it back up. I think it was in the 11th and 12th round. But still, Canelo had really taken a couple rounds in the bag. And still, I thought he won the latter 2 rounds as well, even though Lara did some better work than he was doing in the middle rounds. So that's 3 people Canelo stepped up and faced. And then, just so you guys know, he then stepped up and faced the middleweight champion of the world, Miguel Cotto. Cotto had just stopped Sergio Martinez and another guy called Daniel Gil, who I don't really care to talk about. But he stopped Sergio Martinez. Yes, Sergio Martinez had a damaged leg, but the point is he stopped him. He stopped him. So this is the Miguel Cotto. He's hitting really, really hard because he's knocking out middleweights. And Canelo steps up and faces Miguel Cotto. Not only does he beat Miguel Cotto, but he shows that he has the savvy, the skills to outbox Miguel Cotto. Now, Miguel Cotto had a really exceptional jab in that fight, but yet Canelo was able, even though Miguel Cotto did land his jab a couple times, Canelo was still able to get by that jab and land some really good shots on Miguel Cotto. I think it's because he had much more power than Miguel Cotto. It was evenly matched, but it's just the power of Canelo that made a difference. But it was still cleverly done. And Canelo again showing his class. Stepping up to the plate 4 times, folks, to face 2 Hall of Famers. 2 HEGs. One he beats, one he loses to. Okay? Now I mentioned those 4 names, and I'm going to mention them over and over again because I want you guys to remember who Canelo stepped up to the plate and faced. At the time when in his development, he stepped up to the plate to take on these challenges. Okay? And some of them were dangerous challenges, right? Now, let's look at the guy who everybody claims Canelo ducked. Gennady Golovkin. Yeah, he has 3 of the 4 belts that is necessary to be an undisputed world champion. But the thing about it is his acquisition of the WBC world middleweight title was by default. They had a certain time frame to make a deal. Canelo couldn't make the deal within that time, so that's how he acquired the WBC belt, which I find is just a shameful way to acquire a belt because you didn't fight for it. Okay? And here's the joke. The only belt that Gennady Golovkin has acquired, and the only person worth talking about that Gennady Golovkin faced that's worth talking about, is David Lemieux. David Lemieux was the IBF World Middleweight Champion. He acquired it by beating Assam Endam. And this dude, David Lemieux, he was no boxer. He was just a sluggard kind of guy. He liked to slug and fight and that kind of thing, and he used his power. So David Lemieux was easily outboxed by Gennady Golovkin, and then he was stopped. And this is the only title that Gennady Golovkin has legitimately earned. Every other title, he didn't earn it. Like he inherited a belt. Okay? The WBC, he just kind of collected it. And then the WBA super middleweight title that he has was a WBA title. It was really an interim title. So he's never fought the man of anything. Okay? Canelo has fought the man in the division in Miguel Cotto. So Gennady Golovkin has never been challenged. His first really big challenge that you can say he steps up to the plate to face is Daniel Jacobs. And he's had offers. He's had offers to face Andre Ward. Arslan Lara has called him out. He's had offers to face... Well, Peter Quillen wanted to fight him, but things didn't work out there either. Canelo wanted to fight him, but things haven't worked out with Canelo either. Okay? And the whole point behind why Canelo had to give up the WBC belt was because they couldn't find an agreement as to the terms on which they wanted to fight one another. And you would think Gennady Golovkin, being the B-side, would give in to the demands of Canelo so he could fight him. Nope, not at all. So that's why Gennady Golovkin has fought basically nobody. He beat a slugger who turned out to get a vacant IBF world title. That's about it. Okay? That's all he has. Now remember, Canelo stepped up to the plate 4 times. Gennady Golovkin hasn't stepped up once. Let's go. Next, Daniel Jacobs. Who is Daniel Jacobs actually stepped up to the plate to beat? Well, he stepped up to the plate and beat Peter Quillen. Nobody thought he was going to beat Peter Quillen. He beat Peter Quillen. So that's his kudos there. Peter Quillen wasn't a world champion at the time. He had been stripped, but he was an undefeated fighter. And he had one draw, and that was against Andy Lee, who we'll look at in a minute. So Daniel Jacobs at least stepped up to the plate once. Billy Joe Saunders stepped up to the plate once, faced Andy Lee, was able to defeat Andy Lee. That's it. Okay, so we see the name Andy Lee twice. Where Peter Quillen had a draw, Billy Joe Saunders had a win. Andy Lee. Andy Lee is battle tested. He is proven. Okay, he's the real deal. So when Billy Joe Saunders beat him, Billy Joe Saunders really beat a legitimate guy. Andy Lee became world champion by beating Matt Korobov, but that's not the point. He faced Peter Quillen. He was dropped twice and still came back to draw the fight, which is amazing. Did lose to Billy Joe Saunders, who's now world champion, but he also lost to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and he faced that was very tough competition for him. Even though he lost to Brian Vera, I think early in his career, he came back to beat Brian Vera by unanimous decision. So his only loss really that really is credible, really when you stop to think about it, is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who stopped him. Okay. Other than that, he's really credible. He's battle tested. Okay. He's not on the level of a Canelo Alvarez, but he's battle tested and he's fought some really decent names when they were in their peak performance. Let's look at David Lemieux. Well, David Lemieux ain't beat nobody, so let's just forget about it. He did face, though, Gennady Golovkin. That's about it. Okay, and he lost. Chris Eubank Jr. has fought nobody. The only person he's fought and he lost to was Billy Joe Saunders. Okay, this guy's totally overhyped. Then you got Arslan Dilar. So we just looked at all the middleweights. Okay, Peter Quillen, by the way, I didn't mention Peter Quillen. Peter Quillen, he faced, and I think he beat the world champion too, Winky Wright. Winky Wright was world champion. He beat him. So that's a legendary name that he beat. Arslan Dilar. Now, when we look at the super welterweight division, they say, oh, well, Canelo is, ducked these guys. Well, the most qualified super welterweight out there is current WBA World Super Welterweight Champion Arslan Dilar. And Lara fought guys like Austin Trout after he had lost to Canelo, but it was to get the WBA, what would later be the WBA title, so it was a championship fight, so it was worth the while. And he also fought Paul Williams. He lost to Paul Williams, but you can argue that some people think he won, okay? At the end of the day, when we look at Arslan Dilar's resume, Paul Williams and Austin Trout are the names that stand out, okay? He also drew with Carlos Molina, but who later became the IBF World Champion. But you can argue he lost that one too. So anyway, those are three names. Now he stepped up to the plate to face Paul Williams. You got to give him his props for that. Other than that, he did face Austin Trout, but I wouldn't say he literally stepped up to the plate, even though it was a challenge for him. So I'll put Trout and Paul Williams in there. He stepped up to two guys. Jamal Charlo has stepped up to no one. His championship match, he beat against an old Cornelius Bundridge, so we can't really say he was challenged. Neither can we say it for his brother, Jermell Charlo, who beat a guy called John Jackson. You're like, what? For a vacant title, that's about it. He really never really faced anybody who really is in the caliber that Canelo faced. Demetrius Andrade has also faced nobody. He faced Vanes Martirosyan for the vacant WBO Super Welterweight title, and he got a split decision win after Martirosyan had knocked him down. But if you look at all the other names, he's just totally overhyped because he hasn't faced a single soul that's worth the while talking about. When you look at Miguel Cotto, however, that's a wholly different story. Cotto's fought the who's who. He's fought Alvarez. He's fought Martinez and beat Martinez for the middleweight championship of the world. He fought Austin Trout. He fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought Antonio Margarito, Ricardo Mayorga, Manny Pacquiao. All right, these are names. And these guys, were champions and so on. Zav Judah was another guy he also fought, and Paulie Malignaggi. All of these names are names, okay? So Cotto is absolutely qualified. But guess what? Canelo fought Cotto, just like how he fought Arslan Dilar, so it doesn't really matter. Then we look at Jarrett Hurd. Well, Jarrett Hurd just won the IBF title, so he hasn't fought anybody of note yet. And then you have Austin Trout. No doubt Trout beat Cotto. That's his claim to fame, basically. So at the end of the day, and Canelo faced Austin Trout and beat him, okay? So when you talk about the known super welterweights out there who are kind of proven or battle-tested or challenged themselves, Canelo's beaten all those guys. And at middleweight, Canelo's also beaten the best the lineal champion, who was Miguel Cotto. Gennady Golovkin ain't got no Cotto on his resume or anybody like Cotto. I mean, when you're talking about stepping up and challenging yourself, so far Canelo has been doing that. And he's been calling out Gennady Golovkin, but check this out. Canelo's done what Golovkin and all those other middleweights haven't done, except for Chris Eubank Jr. And Chris Eubank Jr. is not fighting, he didn't really fight a guy that was bigger than him. on the level of a guy like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was a former middleweight champion, okay? So when Canelo faced Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., okay, he's stepping up to super middleweight, okay? It's a catch weight of 164.5 pounds. He's going to be facing a guy at super middleweight. First and foremost, man, that's a bigger challenge than anything Gennady Golovkin has done. And Golovkin was trying to get, I think, a Chavez fight before. On top of that, none of the middleweights we just talked about has done anything like that. None of the super welterweights have done anything like that. So Canelo has stepped up, and he's going to a third weight class. He's won a title in, actually, it's the fourth weight class because he started at welterweight. He's won a title at super welterweight. He currently has a title, I think, at super welterweight. Not that I really care. And then he won the middleweight title, and now he's jumped up to super middleweight. This is his fourth division he's going to be in. Gennady Golovkin's only in one division. All the other guys I just talked about are in one division, I think, except for Jamal Charlo, who has just moved up to middleweight. Okay, so at the end of the day, the guy who's challenged himself the most, the guy who has taken those fights which were risky, the guy who fought guys that everybody else was ducking, is Saul Canelo Alvarez, man. All right. So enough with the nonsense talk about, oh, Canelo, he's afraid to face Golovkin. He's not afraid to face Golovkin. He's been making offers non-stop, and the evidence is there to support that. Anyway, I just wanted to bring the facts to you guys once again. You know, haters are going to hate anyway, but I just wanted to say, in the name of Jesus Christ, that you guys have a blessed night, because it's nighttime right now, and you guys have a good one.